The Cleveland Browns schedule was released last night. So coming up on today's show, we are going to do our favorite segment. It's the dumbest thing we do as sports fans. It is Record Prediction Day. It is a tradition unlike any other. The day after the schedule comes out, everyone runs to make their predictions as if we have any idea who's even going to be playing in Week 12. But let's be honest. For everyone that makes fun of people that do record predictions, you're lying, because you definitely go look at the schedule and in your head you go, win, win, loss, win, win, win. So yeah, it's stupid, but it's fun to do. So let's go through the entire Browns schedule, and I'll start prematurely handing out wins and losses. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything. I'm not proud of this, but last year I went 10 for 17. So I'm not saying that to, stroke my ego or anything, but if I'm going to be proud of it, might as well, beef my chest out a little bit here. But went 10 for 17 last year. So let's look at the Browns 2023 schedule. Week 1, home opener against the Bengals. Week 2, Monday night at Pittsburgh. Then Tennessee and Baltimore come to town before a very early Week 5 bye, followed with another home game against the 49ers before a road trip going to Indianapolis and Seattle. Week 9, they come back and play the Cardinals, and then they're back on the road to play the Ravens. Week 11 at home against Pittsburgh. Week 12 and 13, a road trip out west, Denver and LA with the Rams. Then come back home to play the Jags and the Bears before packing up and going on the road to play Houston. And then coming back to town with a Thursday night football matchup and a revenge game from last year's Jets game, this time with Aaron Rodgers. And Week 18, they end their season down in Kentucky against the Bengals. So that is the Browns 2023 schedule. So now let's start handing out some wins and losses, starting with Week 1 against the Bengals. I'm going to go with a win. A lot of bias and optimism of just more fun to win Week 1 than lose Week 1. But the Browns have had the Bengals number over the last few seasons. Cincinnati finally got their first win with Joe Burrow against Cleveland last year. But I think at home in front of the dog pound, after waiting 8-9 months, however long it's been for football, yeah, Browns are going to get the win at home against the Bengals. Week 2, it pains me to say this, but it is a gauntlet of a first 4 games. I'm going to go with the loss on Monday night at Pittsburgh. The Browns have not won a regular season game in the Steel City since 2003. I don't even want to know who the quarterback was because it's been so long, but it's been a long time. So after a big win in Week 1, come down to earth a little bit and lose, unfortunately, to F. Pitt in Week 2. I hate myself for saying that, but it's the nature of schedule prediction. You can't go 17-0. Week 3, bounce back win at home against the Titans. I think this is going to be an absolute clowning. The Tennessee Titans are going to be one of the 5 worst football teams in 2023. Will Levis will take over at some point, I'm sure about it, but they'll beat up in Ryan Tannehill at home in Week 3. Week 4, I'm going to go with a loss. So the way I look at schedules is I usually look at them at chunks, right? First 4 games, 2-2. Move the wins and losses wherever you want, right? Maybe they beat the Ravens but somehow lose to the Titans, which I say somehow. None of us thought they would lose to the Jets at home last year or lose on the road to the Falcons, but it happens. It's the National Football League. There is parity every single week, but I think the Browns escape a gauntlet of a first 4 weeks going against Joe Burrow. I'm not going to even say Kenny Pickett's in the same tier, but Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, very tough games. We're looking at some playoff teams right there. 2-2, that's not too shabby. But the big matchup, of course, is that Week 2 Monday night game in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. This is going to be a tone setter for the Browns. First 4 weeks include 3 divisional matchups. Deshaun Watson did not have to face a lot of divisional foes last year. This time he gets 3 out of the gate in the first 4 weeks of the season. So big test early on for the Browns with a Monday night game against the Steelers. Now, when we look at the schedule, there's not a lot of primetime games. This is one of just 2 scheduled right now. And hey, we all asked for 1 p.m. games. We got 1 p.m. games. So we can't be upset that we got what we asked for, but we also can maybe say F you to the media and only giving us 2 primetime games. Fine. We'll be snakes in the grass and we will rack up wins at noon and 1 p.m. when no one's watching. Now, what do you think the toughest game is for the Browns? Is it that Monday night game in week 2 against Pittsburgh on the road? Let me know what you think the toughest game for Cleveland is down in the chat. Really curious what direction you guys are going to go. Week 5, they've got a very early bye, and we'll talk more about that bye later on. Week 6, off the bye, I'm going to go home loss against the 49ers. San Francisco is always good for a rough start out of the gate, but I was looking at the Niners' schedule the last couple of years, and Week 6 is actually usually the turnaround point, and this is also going to be the week where we all go, fire Stefanski. You lose at home off a bye, get them out of here. Browns are 2-3, season's over, major overreaction time. Not so fast. Week 7, bounce back win on the road against the Colts. They're going to be trash. And then they go all the way to Seattle, a team I think is going to regress this year, and beat the Seahawks at their own home. Week 8 win. So after a very frustrating home loss against the 49ers, I've got the Browns bouncing back for 2 wins. But that San Francisco game is going to be a big game because the Browns are coming off the bye. And you would think coming off the bye, Kevin Stefanski should get the win. Now, last year he didn't. Remember, they lost to the Dolphins on the road. His first 2 seasons in Cleveland, he did get wins after the bye. But I was doing some big number crunching over here because Week 5 bye, that sounds way too early. There has not been a Week 5 bye since 2020. They did not have it in 2021 or 2022. But from 2018 to 2020, there were a handful of teams that had Week 5 byes. Here are their combined record over that 3-year stretch, 55-72. I don't like that. A very early bye creates for a very long season after that. The Browns got a little bit shafted with a Week 5 bye, but you know what? There are a lot of teams that did have good seasons despite a Week 5 bye. Hopefully Cleveland can be one of those teams. Now, we're going to look at the rest of the schedule in just a moment, but I am trying to get us to 20,000 subscribers by the time training camp rolls around. We've got a long way to go. No denying that. But if you are looking for a Browns YouTube channel for the entire off season, this is the spot to be. Subscribe if you bleed brown and orange. Moving on with our schedule, way too early record prediction. Week 9 win, home against the Cardinals. I don't think Kyler Murray will be back by then. Chalk it up as a W for the Brownies. Week 10, I'm going to go tie. I know this is crazy. It's borderline communist, but I think the Browns are kind of due for a tie. They've been a tie-ish team. They've had some tie vibes around them the last couple of years, right? Tie the Jets, tie the Steelers. We're due for a tie, baby. So they don't get swept by the Ravens. They don't sweep the Ravens. But in Week 10, maybe a pair of missed field goals in overtime by Cade York and Justin Tucker, and we get a tie. I know this is dumb to do, but there is always a tie at some point in the NFL, it feels like, right? We went a long stretch without a tie. Then we had a lot of runs of ties. I'm going to pump a tie into the schedule here. All right, Week 11. And it also just goes to show anyone that takes record and schedule predictions seriously, you're a clown. Like, we're talking about games 6 months from now. Come on, pump the brakes. Week 11. Bounce back win at home and beat the Steelers to even the slate for 2023. Week 12 on the road. I've got them knocking off Russell Wilson and Sean Payton at Mile High. But the road trip is not completely victorious. Week 13 at the Rams. I'm getting major 2021 Chargers vibes here. I don't think the Rams are going to be good this year, but I think they could eke out some home wins, and this is absolutely going to be one of those games where we blame the refs. I'm not quite sure what for exactly, but I'm already calling this a blame the refs game. They screwed us over in LA once again, so a loss in Week 13 against the Rams. But that tie game, Deshaun Watson did not play the Baltimore Ravens last year in Baltimore, so he goes to M&T Bank for the first time as a Cleveland Brown, and it's going to be tough sledding in the division. Like, this just goes to show, I think the AFC West last year was chalked up to be this macho man division, did not live up to that. The AFC North this year is that, and it's going to live up to that. Barring injuries, I don't see a division that has Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Kenny Pickett as a number 4 QB is not going to be an absolute gauntlet of a season. So for the Browns to get some tough wins and escape with a tie, Again, I'm just having fun with it at this point. It is May 12th. Don't take record prediction too seriously right now, but I'm just kind of like setting the table right now for it will be a very tough AFC North this year. Now, we're going to look at the rest of my record predictions in just a moment and game by game. But the Cleveland Browns t-shirt combo is not only still on sale, they got all the sizes in stock. And we all know that spring can be a bit mischievous in Northeast Ohio. So don't just get a short sleeve t-shirt, get a long sleeve t-shirt as well when you go to chatsports.com/CLE combo. Get that today. The link's in the comments and the description of today's video. Week 14, I am dubbing this the Saints game this year. Home against the Jags, where we go, a Southern team comes up to Cleveland, and it's Week 14, double digits. No way they can play in the cold weather. We thought that last year with the Saints. This year, I think it's going to be the Jags. And I'm also just giving the Jags respect. The Jags are going to be good this year. That's going to be weird to say out loud, but they are going to be good. They bounced back after a loss at home with a win at home against the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields. Week 16, they go on the road and they knock off the Texans for 2 straight years. And then there's the Week 17 rematch against the Jets on Thursday night. The Jets are going to be frauds this year. I am calling my shot right now. The Jets are going to suck, and the Browns are going to ship pump them on Thursday Night Football for everyone to see, just to give the Browns some, good press and some notoriety going into the postseason potentially, which sets us up for a Week 18 game in Kentucky. I'm going to have it be a loss. I think the Bengals got their monkey off the back last year when they beat the Browns. In Deshaun Watson's second game, I can't remember. But the point being, it's not going to be smooth sailing through the division. So I've got the Browns splitting with the Steelers, splitting with the Bengals. So that's 2-2. Losing to the Ravens, that's 2-3. Tying Baltimore 2-3-1. Stefanski has been pretty good in the division. I think he's 500 so far in his career at this point. But a tough Week 18 loss. And that sets up the Browns for an 11-6 record. But that Thursday night game, I am excited for it, right? Thursday Night Football, one of just 2 primetime games for the Browns. Now, they might get flexed into some Sunday night games, but as of right now, no Sunday Night Football scheduled for Cleveland. And hey, we asked for 1 p.m. games. We got 1 p.m. games. So you can't be that upset, but at the same time, I know I asked for it, but deep down, I kind of wanted some Sunday Night Football games, right? I kind of wanted to get some national attention and show that, hey, there is a loaded roster in Cleveland, Ohio, and everyone should be paying attention to it. But I can't wait for the rematch against the Jets. So with that being said, I've got the Browns going 11-5-1. Really 11-6. I think they'll probably split with the Ravens. But I got persuaded into a tie in the office this morning because we were just having a group conversation about, hey, are we due for a tie this year? It's like, absolutely. What's a tie game? Ooh, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson might be like 31-31 and no, field goal in overtime or something. So it's fun. It's silly. It's May. Let's not take record predictions too seriously at this point. So predict the Browns record for me. Give me your best shot. Give me your record prediction down below in the chat. Brown Tiger DM me his on Twitter. So if you want to do the same, at Matthew Petey, my Twitter's down in the chat right now. Let me know what your record prediction is, and I'll see everyone later.